Hi and welcome to Maths class. Today we're looking at factorising non-monic quadratic expressions. And so once again, before we actually start doing it, let's see what this means. Well, the quadratic part we know means that there's a squared term. And we know that monic means the number in front of the x squared is 1. So if it's non-monic, that's going to be things like this: x squared plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 5. That would be an example of a non-monic. Whereas if I rubbed out that 3, that would make it a monic expression. Okay, so now that we're doing non-monic, they are a little bit trickier, and the technique that we use relies a little bit more on trial and error. But what we can do is try to predict what the numbers are going to be and try to be as efficient about it as we can. And I have a technique that I'm going to show you that helps us to move through it systematically. So before we start that, let's just review what happens when I expand. So if I use FOIL and I do my firsts, that's going to give me 6x squared here. Then I do my outsides, that's going to give me 2x times 5, which is plus 10x. Then I do my insides, that's 1 times 3x, that's plus 3x. Then I do my lasts, which is 1 times 5, so that's plus 5. So that gives me 6x squared plus 13x plus 5. Now, this is what's the same as with monic expressions. This plus 5 came from going 1 times 5, which means that this is still, listing factors of this 5 is still going to be a useful thing to do. But what's different is this 13 doesn't have anything to do with the 1 and 5. In fact, the 5 had to be multiplied by 2 first, and the 1 had to be multiplied by 3 to give me these two numbers. But as we will see, these two numbers do come into our calculations when we try and work out what the brackets are. But the other thing that's new but quite useful is this 6x squared comes from the 2x times the 3x. So once again, listing factors of 6x squared like 6x and x or 2x and 3x is going to be part of our technique. So now let's start looking at some examples and learning the technique. So we'll start with this example, 3x plus 10x plus 8. So we'll start by listing the factors, in fact, not of 3, but of 3x squared. And in fact, that should be x squared. 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. So for my 3x, I could have 3x times x is going to give me 3x squared. There's no other possibility. It could be x times 3x, but that's the same. Then I'm going to list the factors of 8, which is the constant. So the 8 is going to be, let's not do that. Can't see it properly. It's going to be 8 and 1, or it's going to be 4 and 2, and I can't see any other combinations. So this is what I do now with my trial and error. I take these combinations and I connect it up with the 3x and the x. I put a sort of cross method here, and then I put 8 and 1 here, and then 3x and x, I swap these around, 1 and 8. Try again with the 4 and 2, 3x and x, I'm going to go the 2 and the 4, and the 3x and x, I'm going to go the 4 and the 2. And now I'm going to just test each one to see which one gives me my answer. I'll just change colour so you can follow what I'm doing. Actually, let's go with red. I multiply now along this line. So I go from x to 8. X times 8 gives me 8x. And then I multiply along here. 3x times 1 gives me 3x. Then I add them together and see what I get. 8 and 3 gives me 11x. Is that the same as 10x? No. So it's not this. No good. Let's try the next one. X times 1 is going to give me x. 3x times 8 is going to give me 24x. Add them together, I get 25x. Is that the same as 10x? No, still no. Okay, let's go to the next example, or the next possibility. X times 2 gives me 2x. 3x times 4 gives me 12x. Add them together, still no dice. No good, that one. So it must be surely the last one. X times 4 gives me 4x. 3x times 2 gives me 6x, which gives me 10x, which is this. So I've found it, it's this one. So what do I do now? The first thing I want to do is mark in my brackets down here with my working out. And by the way, this working out shouldn't go somewhere separate on a scrap piece of paper. You keep it all together so that you can look back over what you've done, and so also that your teacher can do that as well. So I'm just going to write in my brackets here. And this is positive 4, so that's going to be plus, and this is positive 2, so that's going to be plus. So my answer will simply look like this. 3x plus 4 multiplied by x plus 2. Okay, so what you might like to do now is go and try a few examples yourself and then come back and watch the rest if you want some more worked examples. Or you can stay with me and keep looking at further worked examples. So let's go now to our next example. I've got 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. So my 2x is going to be either, well, it has to be 2x and x. There's no other way of doing it. But my 12 has a lot of possibilities. Could be 12 and 1, could be 6 and 2, or it could be 4 and 3. There are no others. So I've got them all now. And it's going to have to add up to 11x after I do my multiplying across the cross. So let's start writing out some combinations. I've got 12 and 1 here, or 2x and x with 1 and 12, or 6 and 2, or 2 and 6, and I've also got 4 and 3, or 3 and 4. But I'm not going to keep writing them out because if I find the answer in one of these, I won't need to do the rest. So I'll just get started with what I've got. Okay, 2x times 1 is going to give me 2x. X times 12 is going to give me 12x. They add up to 14x. No good. All right. X times 1 is x. 2x times 12 is 24x. Added up, I get 25x. No good. I'm looking for 11. X times 6 is 6x. 2x times 2 is 4x. Close but no cigar. That's 10x. Okay, x times 2 is 2x. And 2x times 6 is 12x. 14x. I'm still not there. Now you can see there's a lot of really tedious trial and error. So I'm just going to take a break here to talk about what could I have done at the start to eliminate some of the work that I didn't need to do. And I've got something really helpful here in the fact that this is an odd number. So if I'm adding two numbers together to get an odd number, it's got to be an odd plus an even. If I add together two odd numbers, I'm going to get an even. If I add together two even numbers, I'm going to get an even. The only way I can get an odd is if one of them is odd and one of them is even. Okay, so that means this x here has to be multiplied by an odd number. This could have worked, but this was no good. This was no good. This was no good. This 2x is definitely going to give me something even here, and that's fine. I've got even here. I've got even here. I've got even here. That means the other one has to be odd because this 2x will always give me an even result here. So I've got to multiply by an odd number here. So where are my odd numbers? There and there. I've already tried this and it didn't work. So now I'm going to try this, the 4 and the 3. So let's do that. 2x times x. And then I'm going to put a 3 here and a 4 here. 2x times 4 gives me 8x. x times 3 gives me 3x. Add them together and I get 11x. Bingo, that is what I'm looking for. So I put my brackets here. And that's going to be added because that's positive 3 and that's positive 4. Pretty soon you can be sure we'll be getting to some negative numbers. And so then I just write my brackets. I get 2x plus 3 times x plus 4. Now, if I thought about this odd and even thing at the start, it would have been a lot quicker. I would have listed all of these and then I would have said, well, it can't be that. I could have tried this combination and that would have been wrong. And then I would have gone to this combination. But there's something else I could have thought about at the start as well. And that is the size of this number. This 11 is smaller than 12. So it's not going to be 12 times something because I'm going to add them together. All right. Now, if I had some subtracting, that would be different, but I'm adding. So if I go 12 times something and then add something else, I can't get 11x. So I actually could have used a little bit of logic to get straight there. But it doesn't matter if you can't do that. We would have worked our way and it doesn't take that long. We can do it just by trial and error by trying them all. Okay, we're going to move to the next example now. So here I've got 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. Hello, negative numbers. So this is going to get more complicated now because I've got 6x here. So that'll be 6x and x. And I've got, or it's going to be 3x and 2x. And I've got negative 3. So it's going to be negative 3 and 1 or 3 and negative 1. Right, multiplied together, this will give me negative 3 and this will give me negative 3. So even though 3 has only 2 factors, I've got 2 factor pairs if I make one of them negative. And now the numbers that I add up to are going to be negative 7. So this is an odd number and my rules still apply that I need an odd plus an even. Doesn't matter that this is negative, it still works, an odd plus an even to get an odd. But that's not helpful here because these are all odd. And this is one even and one odd here, and one even and one odd here. So that's not going to help me. I've really just got to go for my trial and error. So I'm going to have 6x and x times negative 3 and 1, or times 3 and negative 1, or times 1 and negative 3, or times negative 1 and 3. Now, if I do that all again here, I'm going to have 4 more trials. So you can see that it is important to try and find a way to cut out some of the examples that I think won't work. So let's have a think about that. I think that multiplying 6 by negative 3 here is going to give me something too far away from 7. So I'm not going to start with that one or that one. So let's just start and see what I've got. 6x times 1 gives me 6x. X times negative 3 gives me negative 3x. Add them together. Negative 3 plus 6 gives me 4x. This one's no good. Let's try this combination. 6 times negative 1 gives me negative 6x. X times 3 gives me 3x. Add them together. I get 3x minus 6x, which is... Oh, I made a mistake up here. Look at that. I've got 4x. It's 3x, of course. And this is negative 3x. See, normally in the classroom, someone would tell me I'd done that. But I've got no one. Okay, I'm sure you saw it. All right, let's look at my next example because neither of these worked. So now I've got 3x times 2x. Let's put in our combinations. Could be negative 3 and positive 1. Let's try it. This gives me negative 6x here. This gives me 3x here. Again, now I've got negative 3x. Still not there. So let's try 3x and 2x. Now, instead of rewriting this with positive 3 and negative 3, what I'm just going to do is think, well, if that was positive 3 and that was negative 3, then that would be positive 6 and that would be negative 3, and that would give me positive 3 here. So still no. So it's got to be the last combination of swapping the 1 and the 3 around. So 1 and 3 here. Let's make one of them negative. I get 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. And I get 3x times 3 is 9x. Okay, negative 2x plus 9x is 7x. I'm nearly there. I need negative 7x. Once I've got the right number, all I need to do is fix my positives and negatives. This is positive and this is negative. That makes 2x times 1 is positive 2x. 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x, which will give me negative 7x. And the last one that I tried is my answer. That doesn't always happen. So I put my brackets here, and now I've got to be especially careful. This is plus and this is minus. So I've got 3x plus 1 and 2x minus 3. Now, whenever I do these, if I'm feeling uncertain, I can do a bit of trial and error. 3x times 2x gives me 6x squared. I've definitely got that. 1 times negative 3 gives me negative 3. I've definitely got that. So I just need to check the negative 7. That's going to be negative 9, and that's going to be positive 2. Negative 9 and positive 2 is going to add up to negative 7. So I'm confident I've got the right answer. I've got one more example to show you. And have a look at this. Negative 45. So let's just quickly look at the combinations here. 45 and 1. And of course, positive and negative, because this is negative. Or it could be 9 and 5, positive 9 and negative 5, or negative 9 and positive 5, or 3 and 15, negative 3 and 15, or 3 and negative 15. There's no other combination. So I've got these and these and these. That's a lot of potential working out. And my 4x can be 4x times x, or it can be 2x times 2x. Now I've got an odd number here. So I can eliminate any combinations where I have an x here, which is odd, multiplied by an odd here. Now, look at this. Odd, 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 odd. So it's not going to be this. Get rid of that. Because if I did that, if I had 4x and x, and I had an odd number here and an odd number here, this is going to multiply and give me something even. This is going to multiply and give me something odd. And when I add them together, I'm not going to get 8 because that's even. So it's got to be this, 2x and 2x. But once again, if you can't do this thinking in advance, you can just do the trial and error. And most of the examples you'll be given won't have so many combinations, especially early on when you're just learning. So let's try our 2x and x. And let's also think a little bit about the size. I need to get 8. So I really don't think I'm going to be multiplying by either positive or negative 45. It's going to be one of these. Okay, so let's try the 9 and the 5. Let's start with, well, my final answer has to be positive. So let's make the 9 the positive, the bigger number positive, and the 5 negative. 2x times negative 5 gives me negative 10x. 2x times 9 gives me 18x. Add them together, 18 minus 10 gives me 8x. I found it. I don't even have to try any of these. Sometimes you get lucky. Now, if it had been wrong, I would have had to try all of those. But, you know, sometimes it's the first one you try and sometimes it's the last one. We always hope for a little bit of luck. So then I put my brackets in. Brackets here, brackets here. So I've got This is 2x plus 9, so 2x plus 9. And this one is 2x minus 5, 2x minus 5. And once again, I can always try by expanding mentally. So let's just do a check. 2x times 2x, that gives me 4x squared. The 9 and the minus 5 multiplied together will give me the minus 45. So that's my firsts and my lasts done. Now, when I go those two together and those two together, I'm going to get negative 10 and I'm going to get positive 18. And that's what I got here. It's no accident that we trial these, because basically what we're doing here is this 2x and negative 5, that's my outsides, right? And the 2x times the 9, that's my insides. So we can do it that way. Okay, now that's the end of my video. You have a choice now to pause, to stop and just get to work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this example again, but I'm going to use a slightly different technique that I think works really well once you've had a bit of practice and you're getting better at these, and then it'll be quicker. Oh, I rubbed out the question. Let's do that again. Keep the question, rub out all the working. Now this is how I do these. So I'm going to show you, but if you're feeling like your head is spinning, just press stop now and get to work. But if you're feeling like this is making a lot of sense and you'd like a quicker, more efficient way, then this is what you can do. I actually just go straight to my brackets. And then I just do a bit of trial and error, just like what we just did. For example, I'll go 4x times x, and then I'll think to myself negative 45. To make an 8, it's probably going to be 9 and 5. If I put the 9 there, that's going to be too big with just 5 here. If I put the 5 here and the 9, that's going to give me a 5 there and a 9. That's going to give me a 20 and a 9. It's not going to be right. Okay. So let's try with the 2x and the 2x. I don't want the 45 and the 1. Oh no, let's try with the 15 and the 3. 4x and the x. The 15 and the 3. I don't want 15 times 4. It's going to be too big. So let's try the 15 here and the 3 here. That's going to give me a 15x, and that's going to give me a 12x. That's not going to work either because they're only 3 apart. The difference between that is 3. So it's got to be the 2x and the 2x. Okay, so let's go back to 9 and 5. I'm not going to do my 45 and 1 for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Let's go to my 9 and 5. Let's try it this way. Well, it doesn't really matter which way I try it because these are the same. The 9 and the 5, this is going to give me 10. And this is going to give me 18. Okay, that's a difference of 8. That's the combination I want. Which one do I want positive? These give me 18, so that's the bigger number. And these give me 10. If I go 18, subtract 10, and there's my answer. So there's a lot less working out required, but as I said, please don't go straight to this method. This method is only for if you're feeling very confident and you just want to try something that's a little bit quicker. All right, that's the end of our video.